there's a lot of division sometimes between the Spanish and the Mennonites in these countries. So I'm hoping to be able to connect cultures as well. That's just the dream. So we'll see if that actually, if I'll be able to do it, but see if God's willing.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Galcom's Mission Compass, your guide to the Great Commission. I'm Ron Harris. On today's Mission Compass, we want to update you on what Galcom is doing around the world and also connect with a ministry partner who, like Galcom, is making waves. Where do you fit in the Great Commission? Well, keep listening. We may have an answer for you. And here's your host, Galcom's Tim Whitehead.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, friends, for joining us. Hey, Producer Brent, we dropped the ball last weekend.
We did?
Yes, and I blame you entirely. So to Producer Brent's mom and to every other mom out there, happy Mother's Day, belated. Thank you for raising us well. Anything that you want to say to your mom there, Producer Brent?
I love you.
Well done. But this week, I did remember that this is my wedding anniversary this weekend. So happy anniversary, Melody. Thank you for putting up with me for 28 years. And about those 28 years, I've been serving in ministry all that time, so she's really had to put up with a lot of my travels and so on. But friends, I want to encourage you. I wouldn't trade this life for anything. All of the adventures I've been in around the world, telling people about Jesus Christ, it is a great adventure. And here on the Mission Compass, we want to encourage you to be part of it. You will not regret it, giving your life to Jesus Christ, not just for salvation, but in service. Don't you agree, Producer Brent?
Yeah, I do.
Like every day you're here at Galcom serving the Lord?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't trade it for the world?
No.
And you've been to Peru?
I have.
Anywhere else you want to go with handing out radios, doing the work of the Lord?
How long do you have?
Well said. And so this week on the Mission Compass, we have a couple of people that have also said yes. Sam Ebersole from the Global News Alliance joins us again on teaching us how to use our cell phones to be a witness for Christ, to be cell phone reporters telling God's story. And Talitha Toews. You know what? I'm just going to leave it hanging there. She's got a great story about how she's simply said yes to serving God. We want you to say yes to serving God as well. So stay tuned for this edition of the Mission Compass. And to start it all off, here comes Bonnie Sala with this week's Reset Devotional to get us focused on God before we start sending you out around the world.
Pastor Carl was knocking on doors in his city. Not everyone was glad to see him. I'm Bonnie Sala with Reset. At one home, a woman answered the door aggressively. "What?" she demanded. "Hello," Carl greeted her. "I've come to tell you about a church we're planting." Looking him in the eye, the woman said, "I don't want some bloke in a dress telling me how to live my life," and slammed the door. Carl walked off a bit shaken, but an inner voice told him, "Knock on the door again." "You're joking," he thought, but back to the door he went. This time, the woman threw the door open. In tears, she blurted out, "I've told you once, I've told you twice, leave," and slammed the door again. 2 weeks later, Carl was walking the neighborhood in prayer when he had an overwhelming compulsion to knock on the same door again. "You've got to be kidding," he told God, but knock he did. "Oh, it's you," the same woman answered. "I've been trying to find you. There's something I need to tell you. You know when you knocked on my door and I was really cross? I was raped by my brother, and I just wanted to die. I decided that that was the day. I had liters of vodka and all kinds of pills. I was just going to take them all and die. After I slammed the door on you, I said a prayer. I said, 'God, if you are there, please send that man back again.' You knocked on the door. And so I'm here." The Bible records this promise of God: "Before you call, I will answer you. While you are still speaking, I will hear." He makes that same promise to you today. I'm Bonnie Sala. Ready to grow your faith? Discover practical tools and more at guidelines.org.
Well, friend, the Mission Compass is your guide to the Great Commission. We want to point you in the direction of serving God somehow, some way. And one of the places we like to point people to is the gna.news website. Incredible stories what God is doing around the world and tips on how you can be a cell phone reporter, how you could be sharing the gospel through your social media and through the GNA website. And so joining us every month to help us learn how to do that better is their Director of Training, Sam Ebersole. Sam, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thank you, Tim. It's good to be here.
So Last month, I was very moved at the story you shared. Friends, you want to go back to that program back in April and see what God is doing on the border of Canada and Mexico, and a tip about how you can be used as well. But Sam, where are you taking us this time now? Somewhere else around the world? Middle East, Africa?
Yeah, about halfway around the world to a slum, a notorious slum in Nairobi, Kenya. Kibera is the name of the slum. It's the largest one in Africa, and a ministry that's based in Texas, actually, which takes us back home, I guess. It found out that they had technology that could solve one of the big problems in that slum, and that problem was clean drinking water. There is some access to some clean water, but it runs through a network of pipes and hoses, and that infrastructure has broken down and deteriorated, and it allows unsanitary water to get mixed in with it. So the bottom line is water really needs to be filtered for drinking and cooking. So this ministry came in and they said, we're going to distribute filters and buckets, and they can go collect water and filter it and have clean water for drinking and cooking in their homes. And that ministry did that work, and they invited George Thomas, who's a reporter for CBN News, and George shared the story with us. So you can find it on the GNA website. If you go there, it's a couple of weeks old. So if you might have to search for Kenya or water, either of those keywords will take you to the piece. And it's a long piece. It's a little over 8 minutes. So I have an excerpt here for you about that piece, and then I want to talk about a technique or a strategy that was used to help to make that story more relatable.
Excellent. Roll film.
Kibera faces extreme poverty and gang violence while lacking basic amenities like clean water and sanitation, earning its reputation as one of the darkest, filthiest, and most hopeless places in the world.
As we are speaking today, there's a lot of changes, especially through clean, safe drinking water. A lot of diseases has been eradicated.
It all starts with the barcode on a filter.
The Bucket Ministry used a mapping software to track every filter.
At the point of distribution, we scan the barcode and deliver the filter to the recipient family. We then collect baseline data on the family's physical health and spiritual orientation to chart their progress.
And then every follow-up visitation, we scan the barcode again and we collect new data.
The result?
What you are seeing right now is a time progression map with the blue dots being actual locations of filters distributed in the Kibera by the Bucket Ministry teams.
Beth's team distributed 81,777 filters, providing clean water to all 408,478 residents of the slum. The project reached completion in December as Michael Wanjohi became the last filter recipient.
It's a miracle to me. For real, it's 100% miracle.
And the transformation doesn't stop there.
The water is the secondary reason why we're there. The gospel is the sole reason.
So he sent Jesus the Messiah.
Missionaries visited every single home here, sharing the gospel.
Next, you will see white dots populating. These white dots represent where our local missionary teams have witnessed professions of faith by the families that have received the life-saving water filters and heard the gospel of Jesus Christ. Again, these are precise GPS positions and dates of the interaction.
Local pastor and 44-year resident Rafael Dihanda tells CBN News no NGO has ever shared the gospel so widely in Kibera.
When the Bucket Ministry came in and they recruited the missionaries going and supplying the filters and the buckets, people started accepting the gospel. And we can see now the great harvest is coming in the kingdom of God.
More than 22,000 people gave their lives to Christ. And the miracles keep going.
Lastly, you will see yellow dots populating on the top of the blue and white dots. These represent the actual locations and dates of where our teams have taught ongoing discipleship lessons in the homes of filter recipients.
The team shared over 500,000 discipleship lessons.
Nobody has ever done this. Thinking of visiting someone's house, maybe for one, twice, thrice, just going there. It has never been done.
George Thomas, CBN News, Nairobi, Kenya.
Thank you, Sam. Friends, if you are listening to our radio program or podcast, you need to get to the gna.news website to see what was being described, the blue dots, white dots, yellow dots of this activity happening. So gna.news, and as you said, Sam, either search Kenya or water. The great website, very easy to use to find the different stories, but you kind of got to see it to really understand. But this is a great story. God is moving in the one of the most difficult areas of the world to live.
Exactly. So, Jesus is the living water, and here they're delivering physical water, clean water, and then they're following that up with the living water of the gospel message. But the thing I really wanted to point to here in this piece, the story itself is wonderful. It's heartwarming. It's fantastic. But sometimes we, as a viewing audience, can't capture the vision. We can't, we hear the numbers go by, how many filters were distributed.
81,777. Like, what does that look like? Yeah.
Exactly. How many people accepted Christ? How many discipleship follow-up lessons were distributed? Those numbers, our eyes glaze over. We really can't comprehend it. But when you see it on a map, you start to really get an appreciation for the scale and the scope of the ministry that took place there. So, and you might look at that as a news producer and say, well, I could never do that. That's sophisticated tracking software, it's sophisticated graphics, animation software. The thing is, we said that a couple years ago about shooting video on your phone, right? You can't do that, right? But the technology is becoming so accessible. Here you have a GPS-enabled phone, which all of us have in our pocket. And then you load the right piece of software, which might be, fairly inexpensive, or there might be a freeware version of it that comes down. And then you start to collect this data, and then you find a way to make that message or that information more accessible to your audience so that they can more fully understand what's being said.
Yeah. And so on the gna.news website, you have all these tips and tricks, but you actually have a YouTube channel. And is some of this type of higher reporting kind of explained there?
Yes, absolutely. So our YouTube channel is GNA Academy. And if you want to search for it, actually search Global News Alliance Academy will get you there directly. Maybe even there can be a link provided on the description of your
Absolutely.
podcast. But that academy contains interviews with working journalists. It also includes pro tips. Well, that's the pro tip segment. Quick tips, which are shorter 5-minute pieces of instruction, and then other bits of video training and information that people can avail themselves of if they want to be a journalist reporting on what God's doing.
And friends, you are, Acts 1:8, when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, you will receive power to be my witness. You are witnesses what God is doing in your life, in the life of your church, community. And we just want you to be able to share it well. So gna.news is the website, or go to YouTube, Global News Alliance Academy, and there is a plethora of instructional videos to help you. Just take your cell phone, like you said, Sam, we all got one in our pocket. Take that cell phone and start telling God's story. And then with GNA's help, with your help, Sam, you can do it with excellence. Sam, always appreciate it. So friends, visit gna.news today. Watch that episode, that story there from Kenya, and then get equipped yourself to tell the story of what God's doing in your neighborhood. God bless you, Sam. Always appreciate your visits.
Thank you so much for having us, Tim.
Well, friends, here on the Mission Compass, we're trying to encourage you to get involved somewhere, some way. So I go to the ends of the earth, Three Hills, Alberta, to find people that have great stories of how they're serving God. And so a few months ago, I was out at the Prairie College Missions Conference, and one of the students came up to my little Galcom table there with my little solar radios and so on, and all of my Galcom propaganda, and we started playing the name game, because her family was involved in radio missions down in South America. And so, do you know so-and-so and so-and-so? And then we got started talking about what she's doing in missions coming up. And so Talitha Toews joins us. Talitha, so great to have you joining us here on the Mission Compass.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
So we're talking about, you're stepping out in a bit of an adventure on your own in missions. But before we get there, a little bit of background. You are at MK, a missionary kid, so you know, full disclosure. So where did you grow up? What were your family doing?
So I grew up in Bolivia mainly. Just like my whole childhood was in Bolivia. My parents were missionaries in Bolivia through radio and church and youth. So I've grown up a lot with different cultures, the Spanish culture, the Mennonite culture. So missions has always been a something that has always been in the back of my mind with my parents. Uh, I definitely, as a kid, I really wanted to be a missionary. I've always dreamed of going somewhere far, far away to do something and to proclaim his name. And so it's always been something that fascinates me, just going and trusting.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I'm third generation ministry kid too. So my grandfather's a pastor, my dad in
Mm.
full-time ministry. Same story. I grew up, this is what the family did. We did ministry and it was normal. But at some
Mm.
point I kind of realized, you know what? I need to make this my faith and I need to chart my own path. Did you have kind of that moment in childhood, teenage years where you kind of went, you know what? Yes, this is my belief. It's not my parents' belief.
Uh, kind of, yes. So my dad started ministry when we moved to Paraguay, and I was a lot part of that, like creating that ministry, being more in the background. And I was there for like 2 years helping with the background stuff, just as a 15-year-old, just being there and being happy to be there with my dad. And I started seeing like, oh, I could help my youth. I could help here. I could do my own thing here. And so I think by 17, I decided like my first adult decision was to uh, try to go somewhere else without my family and try to be doing some sort of service for Christ without my family. So that's when I started branching out a little bit more in my own world, especially in youth and especially worship for youth.
And so that's, I guess, that's what led you to Prairie College where we met. So then your
Yeah.
decision to head off to Bible school was part of that whole God's calling me to do something for him?
Kind of. I was a little stubborn. Didn't really want to go to Prairie,
Okay.
actually. I was traveling by myself in Europe, and when I was done, I really wanted to go into culinary first.
Okay.
And uh, I just wanted to do something different. And well, obviously, God didn't want me to go that direction because I was on tour with my dad for like after this trip. I was on tour with my dad, and every single concert here in Canada, which was like 12, I think, around 12 concerts throughout all the provinces, they had there was at least one person that came to me and said, "You should try Prairie," which is very
Wow.
interesting because Prairie College is such a small college. I'd never think that there was at least one person in each province that knew about Prairie College. So that's when I started thinking about, well, maybe God wants me to go back to a small Bible school
And not like the
in a
cordon,
small town.
and not cordon bleu, culinary training in Paris or something like that. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
that's no longer there.
Wow. All right. So we got the background, grew up as a missionary kid, made the decision that you wanted to do ministry, got the training at Bible college. Now, tell us what you're doing this summer, because I was really surprised as we got talking about this. You're, as you said, you're stepping out away from your parents' ministry. This is you and God. So what are your
Yeah.
plans?
Well, for now, it's basically going back to Paraguay. I would be 10 hours away from my family home. So I would basically be alone again and teach in two schools music, uh, help out in the youth, help out in the church youth there. Apparently, it's a new church and oh, it's a growing church, and they really, really need help. So I'll be helping out in the church there, in the music, in youth band, teaching band, hopefully do some private voice lessons. Just I think people need it. And and then uh yeah, it would be 24/7 job and just music and teaching, and I'm very excited about it. A little bit nervous. I've gotten a lot of encouragement here from my professors. And yeah, what else? I would also be helping my dad's ministry in some parts. I might be touring with him in September, which I'm excited for. Um, so it's just kind of going all over the place, and I'm excited.
So,
Uh, yeah.
you said a couple different words: excited, this, and then we all said nervous. What are you
Yes.
nervous about? Is it the physical things? Where you're actually going. Is it pretty remote, or is it your responsibilities that you're going to be having? What are you kind of the nervousness about?
So I guess the main nervous is the responsibilities. I've never had this opportunity that I would be able to teach kids and youth music. This would be like my first like real music career, and I am just like jumping into it, and they're giving me so much already, like giving me so many opportunities that I don't even know what to do with it. And the other nervousness is I haven't been home in Paraguay for a while. I haven't lived in Paraguay for a while. So whenever I talk to my parents and I'm like, well, isn't it like this? Wasn't the culture like this? And they're like, it used to be. It's changed.
Oh.
It's been 5 years. And I'm like, oh no. So I know there's going to be a lot of culture shock happening when I get there. So I'm kind of nervous about the culture shock. I've had a lot of it, and it's hard stuff.
Well, you are what we call in missions a third culture kid. I mean, you grew up somewhere, but you weren't from that culture. So you come to Canada, you don't quite fit in. And so, but when you use it, God can redeem this because you understand this culture and that culture, and God can use you in a special way. So this is really exciting for you to head back. Now, we started talking about Bolivia and Paraguay and the different cultures. It's not just a bunch of Spanish speakers there. Who are you going to be ministering to? Is it like we do a lot of work in Peru and areas where there's Quechua and other Incan descendant tribes? So who are you going to be reaching? Is it Spanish speakers?
Mainly, it will be Mennonites.
Okay.
So my job will be mainly Mennonites, teaching in a Mennonite church and teaching in the Mennonite like two schools right now. And yeah, that's the main one. That's where I have grown up in. Like my dad's ministry was mainly just Mennonites. But we'll see. I've had a lot of connections with Spanish people, and where I'll be living is quite close to a Spanish community. So I'm really hoping to expand and try to connect the people more. And because there's a lot of division sometimes between the Spanish and the Mennonites in these countries. So I'm hoping to be able to connect cultures as well. That's just the dream. So we'll see if that actually, if I'll be able to do it, but see if God's willing.
One thing that I keep saying to people on this program, I've spoken at a school not too long ago, and I said to all the kids there, God has made you special with unique skills and abilities, with your unique interests, things that you like, and God wants to use those in ministry. And we keep talking about music, voice lessons, touring. So is this really the avenue that you're doing your ministry? Is it the music is the tool, the main tool?
Yes. That's where my passion lies most.
And the reason why I asked that, just it sounded very simple. You're like, why are you asking me that? Obviously, but so many of us think that to serve God, we got to give up things, go to Africa, go to Paraguay, go somewhere remote, and sacrifice everything for God. But no, He wants to use these things. So in the last 4 years, 5 years of your schooling, how have you seen God preparing you to use your passions, your interests to serve Him?
Well, I think the biggest one I've noticed is when I started like living on my own at 19 and traveling, I was a very shy girl. I've never like considered myself a leader. Um, and when I got to Prairie, I was like, I don't see myself ever worship leading. I don't see myself ever becoming someone that can just go on stage and act natural. And Prairie College has given me so many opportunities, and God has really pushed me in leadership and leading worship and just growing in that I think um, that was like one of the main things I've learned here at Prairie is leadership, how to lead others, how to lead others well. Um, all those things have pushed me towards that. And then also my professors here in music, um, they have taught me so much in the music business, but also how to use music in ministry and how to encourage others and stuff like that, like stuff that I just didn't think I had it in me. So it's been a wild ride in Prairie College, I think.
And now here you are launching out. So again,
Yeah.
at the beginning we were talking about this is not, you're not going with an agency. You're not with WEC or SIM or New Tribes Mission or Ethnos or anybody like that. So what made you decide to just step out, just you and God?
I think I definitely have a testimony on that. When I was thinking about going to Germany, I didn't want to because it's scary. I wasn't going with anyone. By myself. I don't know anyone in Germany. And I've always been that type of person that loves adventure, even though I was shy. But I think because of all the moving with my family, it's been something I enjoyed. And so I don't know. If it's with a mission, yes. If it's not with a mission and God's calling me to it, yes. If people are giving me the opportunity to do this, yes. My dad is the one that gave me this opportunity because he spoke to that church uh, director and immediately said, "Hey, my daughter's looking for a job." I'm sure the reason why he said what that was so I could be closer to Paraguay, closer to home, But he, I, God just throws opportunities in my laps, and I really don't think it matters if it's with an organization or if it's with me and a group of people that need help or that need something. I, yeah, I don't know how I don't think it's me at all. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that because, yes, I agree in training and you've got it at the school. Yes, I agree with oversight and so on. But sometimes it's just a matter of just saying yes. God has given an opportunity. You're going to be working with the church. And it's good that family's not too far away, but 10 hours still in Paraguay.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit away. Any last piece of advice? Somebody listening who knows God's calling them to serve somehow, some way, and they're like, "No, I can't." They're too nervous. That's why I wanted to ask you about your nervousness, because a lot of us, the fear is what cripples us. What would you say to someone that really just needs to say yes to God?
Hmm. Oh, well, that's a good question. I would say talk to someone about it. Talk to someone close that you trust. Maybe even like talk to a missionary if you know a missionary. But also just talk to God. Like there's a lot of nights that I stay awake and I'm like, I don't have a car, I don't have a place to live. If I'm going to Germany, do I need a visa? Probably do. How is this going to work out? How am I going to pay for student loans now? I definitely won't be able to pay that with my mission stuff. How is this all going to work out? And then a lot of nights I stay awake and I'm just like, I, I don't know. And a lot of times I just talk to God and I'm like, well, God, there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and how is this going to work out? And then I just get reminded of all the good things he's done, all the things that I thought were hard, and I just went through. Like the main one is passing chemistry in high school. Like I just think of these things and I'm like, well, that wasn't that God definitely helped me through that. So he's definitely going to help me through this. So I think that has definitely helped me a lot. And talking to people, of course, like, do you see me in this area? Do you think this is right? Can you pray for me? And yeah, that's been helpful in my area. And I think that would be helpful for you if you're planning on going into serving. And yeah.
Great advice, Talitha. Friends, look at the past. Look what God has done in your life, how he's brought you through that really difficult chemistry course. And then you can trust him in the future with those financial needs you mentioned, real needs, real important questions to ask God. And I agree, getting the counsel of pastors, friends, teachers, parents, spiritual mentors that have spoken into your life. It's not that complicated. But yeah, it's a matter of stepping out in faith. Talitha, I really appreciate you just taking the time, sharing your story. And friends, let's be praying as Talitha heads out. How long are you going to be serving? How long is your commitment there?
I told myself minimum 6 months.
All right.
Who knows?
We'll be praying for you. And you know what? Maybe in 6 months we'll get you back on the program and you can share how God answered all those financial issues and prayers and the nervousness and everything else.
Oh, I'd love that. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Talitha.
Well, friend, we're at the end of our program today, and you've been listening to Galcom's Mission Compass, your guide to the Great Commission. We really appreciate you joining us and would like to say thank you. Make a gift of any amount to Galcom and receive your copy of Tim Whitehead's new book, Love Personified, in which he explores how to love the people around you the way the great characters of the Bible did. Visit galcom.org and click Give. Fill in your contact info and we'll mail it out to you right away. If you enjoyed today's program, you can listen again at galcom.org or on your favorite streaming platform. Make sure to subscribe, follow, and share. There are many ways to partner with us. To find out more, visit our website at galcom.org. That's Galcom, spelled GALCOM.org. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I'm Ron Harris. Thanks for joining us today on Mission Compass, a radio ministry of Galcom International.